Rest in peace, Jace. I'm sure this won't influence Rhaenyra's capacity for sound decision-making in the slightest. That's one more dragon down for Team Black, on top of the Greens having walked away from the Gullet, having smashed the Velaryon fleet in exchange for their expendable mercenaries. This is not looking good for Team Black. Their main naval asset has been devastated, and they are slowly losing that vital winged numbers advantage needed to help deal with Vhagar. And Vhagar is the final boss that must be defeated. What's Team Black got left that could handle her? Well, that's today's video. A deeper dive into the dragons Rhaenyra has left in her beast pens, and ranking them on their usefulness against the hoary old bitch. Both dragon and rider will be taken into account in this ranking, so biggest doesn't mean best. But it is helpful. Like, hype, subscribe, and let's just dive into this, Tom. It's fucking hot as balls in the UK right now, and I can genuinely taste myself in the air in this recording booth. At number 7, we've got Sheepstealer and Rhaeella. This is one of those rankings where you really have to separate the books from the show, because in the books, despite being a wild dragon, Sheepstealer is relatively obedient for his rider Nettles, and he's fairly friendly, only turning vicious and ill-tempered if pissed off or someone uninvited tries to get on his back, which in fairness we all would if some fucking rando just randomly jumped on us. His origins date back to the reign of King Jaehaerys, having hatched on Dragonstone when the king was young. His Vale residence is actually a show-only invention, at least at this specific point in time. For 70 years, he was never claimed by anyone, which over time made him more unaccustomed to people trying to hitch a ride on him. This is shown in the books with him having killed significantly more potential dragon seeds than all of the other unclaimed dragons combined. But, yeah, Condal took the wild aspect and ran with it massively. And on top of being claimed by Rhaeella, who the show has hammered home doesn't have the force of will to get him under heel, despite being the largest and thus one of the most formidable of Team Black's mid-tier dragons, has proven himself to be more of a liability than anything. And it's definitely not advisable to take him into battle against Vhagar when the fucker might attack his own wingmates. So yep, bottom of the pile, old sport. Don't worry, guys, I'll place the book version where I think they belong when we get to that spot. At number 6, we've got Silverwing and Ulf. This is fucking bullshit, Tom. Why is this majestic beauty down so low?
More of these little birds.
A knight will comport himself with grace at the Queen's table.
Best make me a knight then.
Oh, right. Silverwing is about a decade older than Sheepstealer, born during the infancy of Queen Aemond Targaryen, who would go on to be her first rider. As a tamed dragon during the most peaceful reign in Westerosi history, Silverwing grew up to be quite gentle, bordering on friendly towards most humans, serving as almost like a propaganda tool more than a dragon of war. She notably, in both the books and show, is the only dragon who doesn't slay any potential dragon seeds. This is all very and cutesy, but it does mean she's both untested in battle and doesn't have the temperament for it like her husband. This is a problem, because Silverwing is the second largest dragon on Team Black's bench, so kind of one of the frontrunners to throw against Vhagar, yet she's gentle and kind and has a fucking moron for a rider. Recipe for disaster. Ulf is not a peasant in the books, but rather a man-at-arms at Dragonstone. But in both mediums, there is character consistency in the fact he is a drunk, an overconfident black artist, and, well, a bit of an unreliable coward. Hands down the biggest liability of all the dragon seeds, despite the dragon herself being awesome. Who's a good Silverwing? At number 5, we're swooping in with Moondancer and Baela. A very small and young dragon, yet scrappy with a very practiced and talented rider. Being so young, Moondancer doesn't have much history beyond growing up alongside Baela. In fact, in the books, she's not even big enough to be ridden until a year into the dance. She makes up for her small size, though, with speed. She's notably one of, if not the quickest dragon, and Baela is easily one of the most dedicated and talented riders of the younger generation. In the books, the second Baela can mount Moondancer, she wastes no time in learning the ropes and spends practically every day on her. And I think the show does a good job of portraying this dedication with how deftly the pair move in the air. Oh, hey, that rhymed, Tom. I don't know, there's just something about how nimble they both are compared to the other small dragons. That said, she's absolutely fucking useless against Vhagar outside of providing a distraction so a bigger dragon can take a bite. But at least she and her rider are focused. And in fairness, she isn't useless for the war in general. Being so small and fast, she's the best dragon for recon and is great for naval battles because, well, her fire burns like any other dragon, and yet she's such a small target. I guess size isn't everything.
Thank the gods.
At number 4, we've got the rightful queen herself and Syrax. Named after a goddess of Valyria, Syrax is among the younger dragons, with Rhaenyra as her first and only rider. So she doesn't have much history beyond growing up alongside the one true queen. Oh, I feel the Manus' disapproving gaze upon me. Please forgive me, my king. You haven't been born yet! What is notable about Syrax, though, is she's one of the few dragons still laying eggs, so her value to the future of Rhaenyra's dynasty and her race certainly can't be understated. As the smallest of the middle tier, Syrax's use against Vhagar is... it's limited in a solo capacity. But she is noted to be fearsome and does have the second most experienced and skilled rider of the lot, including what's on Team Green's side. So don't discount her potential to get some work done as a supporting player against Vhagar. All hail the one true queen! At number 3, we've got Seasmoke and Addam of Hull. And for those wondering, this is also where I'd put Nettles and book Sheepstealer. Seasmoke has that dog in him, plain and simple. Even as a young dragon, people would have been like, yeah, this here's a fighting dragon. We should have got Hills to do that, Tom. As the middle of Team Black's middle tier, he's likely to be the most even balance of fast and formidable. In the books, his first rider, Laenor Velaryon, never actually rides him into battle, but his violent and war-suitable temperament is made apparent when dragon seeds try to claim him. He kills a lot of them. Addam of Hull is actually the one to give him his first taste of war in the Battle of the Gullet, and he more than earns his keep and proves throughout the whole conflict he and Addam are fucking fearless. In the show, however, Seasmoke is one of the only 4 truly battle-tested dragons, having done a small XP grind in the Stepstones alongside Daemon and Caraxes. Of all the dragon seeds, Addam is also the one who mostly has his shit together, likely due to his status as an acknowledged noble's bastard, which means he's likely going to be taken care of now regardless. Alright for some, hey Hugh and Ulf. But this does have the benefit of making him the most reliable of Rhaenyra's new riders. Against Vhagar, Seasmoke doesn't have much of a prayer solo. He's just not big enough to do any serious damage. But, combined with Addam, he's probably the most valuable wingmate to support one of the bigger dragons having a pop. He's a nimble num-nums for Vhagar's eyes, but he could also get some nasty, if not fatal shots in, if given a chance. In summary, he's a fucking chad of a dragon.
No favoritism, promise.
At number 2, we've placed Vermithor and Hugh Hammer. Smash. The husband of Silverwing and both the second oldest and largest dragon in the war. Vermithor's history falls back to Rhaenyra's great-grandfather, King Jay, and up until Hugh's claiming him, was his only rider. The king famously used Vermithor's mere presence to teach his stepfather, Rhaegar Baratheon, a valuable lesson about the power of dragons. But don't think this lizard is all raw and no fire. Vermithor is tied for second most battle-tested dragon of the lot, having fought in the Third and Fourth Dornish Wars. Though probably worth mentioning, the Fourth Dornish War consists of a single lone battle, but still it's a battle in which the opposing side darkened the sky with scorpion bolts, so I'm still taking that as a W for the Bronze Fury. After King Jay died, Vermithor took up residence in the smoky caverns under Dragonstone, with no one attempting to claim him until the dance, which means no one attempted to claim him until things got desperate, and to be honest, I'm not surprised. He is fucking terrifying. Pound for pound, in a straight-up slugging match, Vermithor is Rhaenyra's best foot forward against Vhagar. He's the only dragon on Team Black's bench that even comes close to matching the hoary old bitch in size, power, and I would even argue fury. He is a grumpy fucking old man of a dragon, and one should not underestimate the power of a grumpy old man. Vhagar really needs to make sure she stays off his fucking lawn! What keeps him off the top spot is Hugh, his rider. Because, well, dragon fights aren't just about slugging it out. The skill of the rider matters, especially in aerial combat where a smart rider has the ability to outflank and outmaneuver their opponent. Hugh is not as big a fuck up as Ulf, but he is still just as green in the air, and hasn't shown that loyalty and dedication to the cause that Addam has. One fun note the show hasn't touched upon yet in regards to Hugh is that he carries a big fucking hammer! And heard a prophecy that said, "When the hammer shall fall upon the dragon, a new king shall rise, and none shall stand before him." George and his totally vague and not obvious foreshadowing. Of course, Hugh's been quite enigmatic in the show, but I really do hope we get to see him swing a ridiculous-sized warhammer in this universe. We are owed this condol, seeing as how you wasted 4 years on this show instead of a Robert's Rebellion prequel, and Cavill is now a bit too old to play a young Bobby B. Budget Bobby is better than no Bobby at all. I'm okay, Tom. What could have been? And of course, who else can be at number 1 but Caraxes and Daemon? I'm not wasting time building it up. I mean, he's the only one left, and it's probably the most no-brainer number 1 pick we've ever done. You think Seasmoke's got that dog in him? Pfft, this guy makes him look like a cute little kitty cat by comparison. Caraxes is the 3rd oldest dragon in Team Black's roster, born about 30 to 40 years after Vermithor and Silverwing, and that shows in his size. He's roughly 2/3 the size of Vermithor and about half the size of Vhagar. His origins are with Prince Aemond, Rhaenys' father, who, despite being shy and bookish, was somehow able to tame what was universally agreed by the Dragon Keepers to be the most vicious and fearsome dragon of that particular generation, possibly even of all time, before the unlucky prince was killed by a stray crossbow bolt, with Daemon claiming the bloodworm 13 years later. Caraxes is who Vermithor ties with for 2nd most battle-tested dragon of the lot, having also taken part in the 4th Dornish War and being the nuke deployed in the conquest of the Stepstones in both mediums. The reason this duo is at number 1? Well, both dragon and rider are a match made in heaven. Daemon and his red friend are both cunning. Yep, Caraxes is noted to be particularly cunning for a dragon, alongside being bloodthirsty bastards, with both seeming to not even understand the concept of what fear is, which, when faced with the prospect of confronting Vhagar, can only be a good thing. The show also goes out of its way to emphasize the bond between rider and dragon, meaning it's going to be vital in these dragon-on-dragon scraps, and Daemon and Caraxes are thick as fucking thieves.
But flesh carries no plague.
That is not our way.
Bros are ride or die and have each other's backs. Could Caraxes take Vhagar solo? Probably not in a head-to-head. He's big enough to fuck Vhagar up and seriously wound her, but at half the size, he's just not big enough to take what she'd give him in return if they duked it out. But what Caraxes lacks in size, he more than makes up for with agility, pure viciousness, and the guidance of the most skilled dragon rider alive during the dance. This could be leveraged to fluster and outmaneuver Vhagar and Aemond and strike at the softer bits of the hoary old bitch, bringing her down a piece at a time. Vermithor and Caraxes are of course the dream team duo to take down the last dragon of Aegon's conquest. But, alongside Vermithor, Caraxes is the only other dragon with a chance to do it solo. It's an underdog's chance, but still a chance. And that's our take. Don't worry, Best Fighters is inbound. We just want a bit more footage to work with before dropping that one. You guys know the outro. I'm sorry, it's too fucking hot. Tom, get me out of this fucking booth!